Hello, everybody. Hi. Me, John. This week, we are here, we are live, and ready to talk about gaming. It's me. I'm here. With me this week is Crystal. Just us two this time, but you know what? That happens. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people are not feeling up to it. It happens. It's what happens.
There's a new strain of the virus going around.
That is true, yes. So if you haven't gotten your booster yet and you're able to, please go ahead and get it, because that'll keep you healthy.
I would also suggest wear an N95 mask.
That too. But otherwise, hello, yes. We're here, we're ready to take a talk about gaming. It's been kind of a slow week comparatively. We're not having a bunch of games getting announced, we're not having massive layoffs, but shit still happens. It's the games industry, there's always going to be some kind of rumblings and grumblings going on.
Grumbly, like a troll under the bridge.
Absolutely. But we're here to talk about gaming and all the things that go on in that universe. Crystal, would you like to start us off? Maybe talk about something that you've been playing recently? Maybe something that you wish to just discuss? Some things that you've been up to, maybe even non-gaming things. We can chat about that too.
John, I finished the first disc of Final Fantasy IX. Okay. And you can really tell that they sort of stepped away from the science fiction and went back to classic fantasy style writing because nothing fucking happens in disc 1. I played for 10 hours and I was trying to recount the story, and I feel like the situation has barely changed from hour 2 to hour 10. And John, the game is slow. The game is noticeably much slower than its predecessors. There's like this big camera swoop at the beginning of every battle that comes after a noticeable load. There's like this queue for commands that they brought over from Final Fantasy IV for some reason that just slows everything down. Even on the fastest setting, it seems like ATB charges pretty slowly. The attack animations are too long. And this pacing issue also extends to the story, where like in the length of disc 1, I could have beaten the entirety of Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 2, and those games have more compelling story, and it certainly
You're saying stuff that people are going to be screaming and hollering at you about. I don't know anything about it specifically. I haven't played this game. But I just know that there's like at least a few people listening right now that are just gnashing their teeth together.
Sound off in the chat.
Okay, we do have somebody agreeing with your take, but again, I still think that there's a bunch of people that are just like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think so that's much smarter than they are, John.
I think that's every Final Fantasy. I think every Final Fantasy has their shooters.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say the strength of the series in the games I've played so far, you can make a solid argument for any one of them being the best one. There haven't really been any true stinkers yet. I really hope that Lilith's claim that FF9 gets a lot better after the first part is the case. Because right now it's like, this is the stereotype of like JRPGs. They're so slow. This is why people say that, because they played this game. It wasn't the case for FF8. That game, the first disc feels like it could be an entire game.
Sure. Well, I guess we'll see. I'm interested to see how things transform over time, I suppose. But yeah, I haven't played it yet. I did get that compilation in the mail, the first 6 ones. And I will probably actually play through all of them. Because why not, I'll play through them all. I don't care. I still need... there's other stuff that I'm going to play before that, but why not? I can play through all the Final Fantasies now. I have most of them now. I have 1 through 6, and 12 and the 7 remake, and which isn't the same thing, I know. And then I've got 16 somewhere. That's not all of them. That's like half of them. But
is there a particular one that calls to you, or are you going to just play in order?
I'm just going to play them in order.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I want to experience them. I mean, like I've said previously on here a bunch of times, the only one that I've played all the way through is 13 still, which I just thought was mid at best. So we'll see how I feel about the other ones as I go through them. But I'll probably just run through them in order. At least what I have so far. The first
You'll
6.
do it your way.
Yeah, my way, like
Jack.
Like Jack. I almost said Clive, but that's a different guy.
No, Clive does not do it his way.
No, he does not. He does it away though. I haven't. I'll play 16 sometime, but Jack is the Burger King.
John, what have you been doing?
All right, so I haven't really been gaming on anything different lately. It's just been Raido and Iwamusume still. I'm not gonna belabor that. I'm almost done with Raido though. I'm on like the last 2 chapters. I probably could have finished it yesterday, but I was lazy. I was just laying in bed like all day after I went jogging. I was just like, I'm just bushed. I need to recuperate. But the day before that, on this past Friday, I did go to a TCG demo night. So as I'm a pretty big TCG guy. I mean, I'm wearing the Upstart Goblin shirt right now. If you can't see it on the stream, on the audio version, I'm repping the Yu-Gi-Oh card that lets you draw 1 and your opponent gains 1,000 life points. But I do really love TCGs. So it was 2 games that they showed off. Which the first one was the new Hololive TCG. Lorelai is currently you're okay. Lorelai was showing the Godzilla game, which I'll get to in a moment. But yeah, first was the Hololive game, and I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, again, I'm not that big into VTubers. I respect Korone. I think that her taste is good, and I respect her from afar, pretty much. But that game is just a fun game. It is very similar to Pokemon, where you have a single character that you're putting up front, and then you have basically a bench behind you where there's other, and then each turn, the cool thing is you have like a supporter character that you swap in and out every turn that can also attack and can also activate effects based on, if they're swapping in and out and all that. And then there's basically like Yu-Gi-Oh spell cards that you can activate. Like, there's some of them are you can use as many as you want. Some of them are just once per turn and only like they're like legend cards. So it's like you can only use this one once per turn and you can't use another legend for the rest of the turn. So that's like cool balancing. And you have basically shields too, and they're made up of the equivalent of energy cards in this game. So it's a neat way to let you swing back and forth because, if someone attacks you, you have a chance to come back because you can power up one of your characters. So they can attack next turn potentially and all that. Because you only get like one, they're like cheer cards. So you only get 1 per turn usually, but then if you get hit, you get an extra 1 from however many shields they break. So it's just a well-balanced game. It's just legit really fun. Like, I'm not, again, like, I don't hate VTubers, don't get me wrong. Like, I've watched some clips here and there, and we have our interview with Shinri on our site. If you are a VTuber fan and you do want to check that out, we are cool with Hololive folks. But I'm not just saying that because we've, done stuff with them. I just think it's a cool game. Go ahead.
So you're saying the offense and defense run off the same resource?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like so you have like a cheer deck, like all your energy is basically in a separate deck, which again, I like that too, because that kind of removes your, like mana flooding in Magic, or, the, or like energy flooding in Pokemon. If you're just drawing a bunch of energy, you're drawing a bunch of lands and you can't do anything with them. That sucks. So having them in a separate deck is a good idea. And so you use some of them as your shields, but then every turn you can draw one and attach it to one of your characters on the field. So, like, that's like one of the things you do the first thing at the beginning of the turn, but then also if you get attacked, or if they knock out one of your characters, then it breaks one of your shields, and then you can use that as an energy right there as well. So you can put like 2 on one character, you could spread it out a little. There's all different things you can do. Like there's different effects that'll activate. It'll be like, oh, you can attach an extra one this turn, you can do this, you can draw a bunch. It's just, whatever it says on the card. But it's just cool. It's just a cool, well-balanced game. I don't know where it'll go from here, because I do know that it's been out in Japan for a good while, but I think they actually like only released like 1 or 2 sets since it came out, which it came out like a year and a half ago or something, but then they just didn't really do any more. But I'm guessing they basically just went, let's just wait until it comes out overseas and then keep supporting it after that, I guess, which, sure, because, like Digimon just recently had it, so all their sets are coming out worldwide at the same time, which is probably how they should be doing it, just to keep it level.
Is there a card game boom right now?
Yes.
Okay.
It is absolutely because of the COVID Pokemon boom. But it's just a weird thing, because like they're so many of them are gonna flop. So many of them have flopped, and it's also just very strange because a lot of games are coming out at the same time from the same developers, so I don't really get what they're doing. Like, Bandai has like 6 games, and they're all very similar. Like, they have like 2 Dragon Ball games, because one of them, I think, was supposed to replace the other one, but then nobody liked it, so they just, I think, went back to keep supporting the old one, or maybe I'm not really sure. That's just from what I've gathered, basically.
It's like old school RuneScape or FF11. Pretty
much, yeah. They have Digimon, which I play that quite a bit. That's like my main game right now. I play Digimon, and it's fun, it's cool. But then they have One Piece, which is a little similar to Digimon. They have Union Arena, which is, I guess, just a bunch of stuff that they have the license to that they don't want to make a full game for. It's just like, oh yeah, here's Hunter x Hunter and Bleach and stuff like that. It's, that kind of thing, like a Weiss Schwarz kind of thing. And then they just released a Gundam game. And I think they also have like an Ultraman. I think that's also them. I think they also have an Ultraman game. So they have like 6 games all running at once. And I mean, like, I know the One Piece game is extremely popular. Digimon is doing pretty well. But otherwise, like, I don't know. It's crazy that they're doing more. Like, I don't know. I mean, people seem to be really hype about the Gundam game. Like, I've been seeing people posting about it on social media recently, which, sure. But I don't know how long that'll last. I would be surprised if Union Arena keeps going for a while. I am almost positive that Ultraman is going to go away soon, because like that's, or at the very least over here, because that is just so niche compared to pretty much everything else. Like, that having its own card game is pretty surprising. Even though I think the gameplay for that game is kind of interesting. But that's besides the point. But to kind of drive home how crazy this is, how much of a boom this is, a bubble even, I would go so far as to say. The Hololive game came out on the 11th. They also had a demo there for a Godzilla game, which came out on the 3rd. And these are both Bushiroad games. So Bushiroad released 2 new trading card games within a week of each other. Or, like, not a week, but, like, within, like, a week and a half of each other. Which... What? That's... So here is the mat for the Godzilla trading card game. And, I needed to have this up on the screen for people, because it is pretty much impossible to explain how this game plays. Like, I ran you through that Hololive game pretty much, like, you know, I didn't give you every single piece of information, but I think that, you know, you have a gist. This is fucking nuts. I don't know what's going on with this game. So, you have a main deck, and then you have a monster deck, and then the Rage Zone has a completely separate deck. And so you have 3 decks. And the object of the game is you take your monster from the monster deck, and it's supposed to be like 4 different like levels of Godzilla. I don't know if they're going to have other monsters. I mean, I'm guessing they are because it says monster deck and not Godzilla deck, but everything I've seen so far has just been Godzilla. You just have Godzilla in your deck. You're supposed to like trudge from each of those areas. Like you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then once you get to 8, you can activate an effect or use a card or whatever to go over into your opponent's zone, and then you win if you do that. Or if you repel your opponent's Godzilla, or your Godzilla gets repelled 4 times, then you win or lose depending. And you repel by using cards from your main deck, which you place onto your field. And so the trade-off is kind of like, well, because Godzilla's just stomping around, he'll destroy whatever you put on the field. So you have to like be like, okay, I got to put this here and this here, like depending on what effects it has and all that. And then if I go forward, then there's a chance that Godzilla will destroy it. So I have to make sure that I'm not too attached to it. If I'm more attached to it, I got to put it further back. But then that might stop it from activating good effects. Yada yada yada. And then each card also has like once per turn you can discard a card, and then that'll let you do extra steps. So like there's like a little footprint on each card, and it's like, oh, that one will give you an extra step. You could do that once per turn, so you can move forward 1, because you normally can do it. You can only do it at the end of the turn. And then there's strategy cards, which are basically like spell cards that you can do you can do 2 of them per turn, and like you can only, I think it's like your cards can only, or no, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like, it's like for strategy cards, I think you can only use cards that are up to the number that your opponents moved, and then you can only use your cards, your main deck, like battle cards up to, because they have like a little cost thing on there. But then when you get repelled, your Godzilla evolves, so it gets a little stronger, and you do that up to 4 times. So that way, on the 4th time, like it gets harder for your opponent to repel it. So it's not just immediately like a knockout if someone. Yeah. Here's all the, oh my god, all these rules and shit. Oh yeah. And so then you can level them up, but then there's also cards in your main deck that you can use to like put on top of the leveled up Godzilla that will give it more effects if it matches your level, and if you've leveled up beyond that, you can discard those, and that gives you rage cards, and the rage cards just give you extra power on your opponent's turn, so it's harder for them to repel you. And that's kind of it. And it just like, after I played through that, I thought it had a bit of cool flavor to it, because, like stomping around as Godzilla and being able to like use attacks and summon monsters and like, summon all the different like space beams and all the cool stuff that are all in these movies. Like there's some nice flavor to it, and to an extent, but there's just so much going on, and it just like I feel like me trying to explain that was just overwhelming, and that's how I felt playing it for the first time, having them sit me down and trying to explain it. So I don't think this game is gonna take off just because of how overwhelming it is to experience. And then also, if you look at these cards here, none of the cards have original art. It's all screenshots or official art from the movies and all that. The only one that I think is kind of cool is for the Rage cards. They just have like posters, like theatrical posters from each of the movies, which does look cool, but the fact that everything else is just a screenshot is super lame. And I mean, there's a chance that they'll end up doing original art, but compare that to so many, like, people get so attached to these games because of the art, like say what you will about how crazy Pokemon TCG people are and scalping and all that, but the reason why people love those cards is because of the art. Same with, like, people follow the Digimon card art. People, like, the One Piece cards, like, people flip out about the art, and that is why that game is so successful, is because the art is original and people get attached to it. So I think them just having screenshots and it being such a confusing game, it's gonna flop. I absolutely think it's just gonna flop, which is a shame, because I like the idea of a Godzilla trading card game. This just is not. I don't think this is gonna do enough for people.
How long is a round of this game?
I mean, I only played the one game. It took quite a bit, but it had to have been like 20 minutes, maybe a little more. I mean, the Hololive game kind of took around the same time, but that's like how long Pokemon games take. That's how long Digimon takes. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very long at times. I mean, depending on the deck. Like, sometimes you just get washed out, but it wasn't the length that was the problem. It was just the rigidity and the complexity. There's just too much going on, and you have to keep track of so much, and your monsters are changing power so often that you're genuinely going to have like two calculators in front of you to be like, okay, this is getting this much, and then this is how much my battle stuff is, so you have to just add and all that. And like, you can do that, but I just don't think people are going to want to do that. I see that, and it's just like, it just seems like it's a bit too much for what it is. Like, if they presented this as a board game, if it was one of those, like, board games that had, like, built-in counters and stuff like that, and had a board that showed the movement of each of the, like, like, the fact that they have those mats makes sense, but, like, everyone's gonna have to have these very specific mats, or else you're just screwed. And meanwhile, like, you can, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff like that has specific, like, you have your 5 monster things and all that, but you can still just wing that, because you could just be like, yeah, here's 5 zones, whatever. You don't need to be very specific about that. It feels like it's asking for a little too much from the player, while also not being as, like, just easy to follow. And I don't know. I who knows? Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe someone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is real." Maybe a bunch of people are gonna love it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I mean, like I said, it's cool. It's cool that there's a Godzilla TCG. That is a cool concept. But I don't know.
I think I am into the idea of simulating a Godzilla just marching through the city, and you have to try to push it back as it moves. Like this is like a PvP tower defense game or something.
Yeah.
But you are right that I looking at this flow chart of the flow of the game, it's not the most intuitive. No,
that's the big problem.
So is the boom mostly with licensed games?
Yes, I would say so. There's not. I mean, there are a few games that are coming out that are original, but most of those have kind of crashed and burnt already. But that was also the big failure that people bring up is MetaZoo. If you're not familiar with that one, MetaZoo was it was a neat concept where it was kind of Pokemon-esque, but what it was it was all cryptids. And the two things they did wrong with that game, like, the art was really good. People really liked the art. People really liked the flavor. The two things they did wrong were, they eventually tried to do NFT shit, which, of course, that just immediately, whatever. But for the game itself, the base rules that sucked was that different effects would activate depending on the environment or the time and place. Like, it's a cool concept, but it would be like, you could have a Christmas deck. Like, you could be like, oh, I'm playing a Krampus deck. Like, I have Santa and Krampus in my deck. And they get powered up when you're, like, near Christmas. But then it's like, yeah, so you can play this deck for, like, a week every year. Or there's, like, a Bigfoot deck or something where it's like, yeah, if you're near a forest, it gets stronger. So you just would have to, if your locals was near a forest, then you would have more power. But if you ever, like, traveled or something and you went to, like, New York or something to be like, oh, here's a big tournament that I'm going to, you're fucked. You can't play that deck. It's just, it's a completely boneheaded concept where, like, it's cool if you don't think about it for, like, 5 seconds. Like, at first blush, it's like, oh, that's a neat idea. But then it's just like, you just think about anything about how trading card games work, how you have to go to a physical place to play it. None of that works whatsoever. So it was just kaput. So that flopped pretty bad.
No, I can kind of, I believe you that this doesn't really work in practice, but I do have to appreciate the idea because it kind of simulates, like, you know, like if you're playing the Pokemon trading card game, Game Boy Color game, it's like, in this part of the world, we're all fire type trainers because that's just how it is here.
It's one of those things where it's like, if they could have made the world very suddenly work around MetaZoo, then maybe that would have been something. Like, if they were just like, well, we're officially announcing that all governments are turning into one MetaZoo themed, like, if we just all of a sudden got put into the Yu-Gi-Oh universe or something, then sure. But that's not happening yet. Maybe later. Maybe we could bring MetaZoo back once all problems are solved and we shift over to a MetaZoo-based conflict resolution system. But I don't see that happening yet. But the one that did come out was Flesh and Blood, which that one is pretty popular. That one is just like a pretty standard, like, high fantasy thing. And that one is just basically like, they're basically just like, hey, if you're sick and tired of how Magic is these days, this is kind of like how Magic used to be, in theming less than, with different gameplay, but more just with the theming. And that's kind of it, but that one's pretty successful. I don't know. It still feels like the bubble is still expanding. I don't know when it's going to pop. I don't know what's going to happen when it pops. Like, I don't know how many games are going to go away. It's really confusing why more and more games are coming out, because it was like one of those things where it was like, I understand that Digimon exists. I understand that they made a One Piece game because, like, One Piece is super popular and there's so many characters, but, like, Bandai Namco being like, yeah, we're doing an Ultraman game. Like, okay, and Gundam kind of makes sense, but, like, it's just the fact that it's one of those things where, like, if they were just like, yeah, we're doing Digimon, One Piece, and Gundam, okay, but then they're doing Ultraman, they're doing Union Arena, and they're probably going to do more stuff later, and then, yeah, like, Bushiroad being like, we've got White Schwartz and Shadowverse, and now we have Hololive and Godzilla. It's just like, in the same month, in the same, like, 2-week span, we're doing 2 new games. Like, okay, no, you gotta calm down a little bit, please.
Do you think anything can dethrone the titans of the card game space?
It's a little hard to say. Because I think Pokemon is set forever. I think that there would have to be something really, really fucked up. Like, they would have to do something really messed up to fumble the Pokemon TCG. I think Magic is at a very weird point right now because a lot of their old school fans are mad about the theming because of the crossover stuff, and also even their like mainline stuff is getting real wacky with it. Like the last few sets have been like, there's one that was just a race. Like it was all the Magic the Gathering characters in like a wacky races scenario. There was one that was basically themed off of like 80s horror, but not in like a interesting way. It was basically just like, yeah, my creature is just a cheerleader. Like the character, the one that people bring up is just literally, it was just a cheerleader. And so, you know, it's like, I'm really just having this normal ass human having more power and toughness than like a giant dinosaur. Like, what's going on with this? What's up with the theming of this game now? So people are really pissed off about that and how expensive it's gotten. Like the Magic's cost has skyrocketed. Like a box of cards used to be like $80 and now it's like $150, and that's even like for the most basic box. Like they have like collector's boosters where it's like, oh yeah, no, this is like a $500 box of cards, and there's less cards in here than the regular booster because these are the ones that are special and sparkly. And it's like, dude, like it can't be sustainable. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, and like I don't know about that. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! They have just been releasing really shitty packs for the last while, and people can't even buy them, or people aren't even buying them anymore. It's just nobody, like everyone's just buying a few singles because there's like 3 cards in each set that are actually good. So you just buy those cards and you're done. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it to buy packs or boxes. And so then stores aren't supporting the game because nobody's buying them at the store. So there's like nowhere to play it anymore. At least over here. So it's just, I don't know. I think if any of them are going to drop out, it's hard to say because like Yu-Gi-Oh does have a good amount of players still, but they don't really go to locals. They just travel to big tournaments. So I don't know. It's really hard. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't think anyone's going to like actively overthrow them. I'm kind of just waiting for one of them to just drop out. But I don't think any of them are at that point yet. But I would say like maybe Yu-Gi-Oh is the closest right now, followed by Magic. But at the same time, like Magic is still successful because like, you know, all the old fans are pissed off about it, but people bought a shit ton of those Final Fantasy boosters because they wanted to have cool Final Fantasy cards.
Does it seem like Magic is trying to scoop up this licensed game boom by just licensing cards within a system people already know?
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to be Fortnite. They're just being TCG Fortnite now.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is, yeah. And
like,
it's semi-successful, it's just the fact that it's so expensive is what's really fucked.
Are these Final Fantasy cards selling better than the original Final Fantasy card game?
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
because if you're listening and you didn't know, there is a Final Fantasy card game. I think they're still putting sets out for it, I think. Because I've seen some in the store. I don't know if they're like new cards or if they're just old cards they're trying. Okay, it is still supported. So yeah, so they still have a card game going on. And then they did this Magic crossover. And yeah, like I'm absolutely positive that this sells better than the Final Fantasy TCG because it's tied to it's a game that you already know. So it's just like Fortnite where it's like, you know, if they released a game that was like, oh hey, you know, run around and shoot as your favorite Fox animation characters, that would, you know, people would buy that, but it wouldn't sell as well as we put Hank Hill in Fortnite because everyone's already playing Fortnite. I don't know. It's I don't know. I really agree with how a lot of the like MTG old heads feel about it. To an extent. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think any of the big three are going to like fall out soon. But like I said, if any of them are going to, it's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh.
It'd be pretty funny if they made Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic cards.
I mean, maybe someday I could see that. I mean, like, but the thing is that flavor would actually like make more sense than a lot of the other stuff they've been doing. Like they have SpongeBob cards, like they have like SpongeBob as a creature in Magic. Like if they put Blue Eyes White Dragon in Magic, like that's a dragon. They have dragons in Magic, so at least that kind of fits.
I remember like 10, 15 years ago, it felt like Magic was making a big push to have their own coherent storylines. It seems like they've abandoned that?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big thing. I've never gotten into Magic, but I remember when I was first getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't know, like 7 years ago or whatever, that was when they were doing that big, like, War of the Spark thing, and they were basically just doing, like, their Avengers Endgame level event for Magic's story. And then, like, a few years later, they're just like, well, I guess you can play Spider-Man.
just like Marvel.
Avengers Endgame, yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I guess it probably is selling better than it would have if they didn't do this. Like crossover stuff is popular. People love crossovers and they love when their thing shows up in another thing. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I don't. Pokemon's gonna go on forever though. I have no question about that. They're gonna make those cards are gonna be popular until the sun explodes.
The Pokemon Company is remarkably good at brand management.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine Pokemon, like, stopping in your lifetime?
No.
Yeah.
And as the Pokemon freak, I'm... Alright. Sure, I'm probably going to be playing that shit on my deathbed. Yay! I don't know. I don't know. Lorelai in the chat did say, MTG is basically Wizards Final Fantasy XIV. It is keeping the company afloat. That is true. Like Wizards and Hasbro also. Like Hasbro has been having so many issues lately. Like I know people who, collect a lot of like Hasbro action figures and stuff, and there's just so much talk about how, expensive that's getting and how people aren't supporting them as much and all that. So yeah, MTG is definitely keeping it afloat for sure. So yeah, I don't think that MTG is going to go away soon, but maybe if people get sick of how it is, and I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not enough people are going to be sick because people are playing Fortnite like crazy. So I guess probably not. Actually, now that I say that, maybe they'll be fine. So yeah, no.
Well, Fortnite's also a free game. MTG has like
that's true.
A high entry cost and then ongoing cost.
That's true.
What's next?
We could talk about some news then.
Sure.
So let's see here. Here we'll hit the quick one real quick here. So there was a listing on the U.S. copyright website for a quote untitled Donkey Kong project motion picture. So they're doing a Donkey Kong movie, it seems.
That makes sense.
How do we feel about Donkey Kong's own movie starring Seth Rogen?
It'll probably be really bad, but a lot of movies are bad.
Are you a big Mario movie hater? Because I thought it was okay.
I mean, hater implies like a passion that I don't think I can muster for that movie, but it was just like
passable.
People have made the criticism that the movie doesn't have a script, which is accurate. But also, the movie doesn't have any images. I'm already not the biggest fan of the Mario aesthetic, but it feels like they somehow made it more generic by illuminationating it up.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know what's here for me to grab onto.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I went and saw it because I got a free ticket. So, it was okay. I don't know if this Donkey Kong movie is going to be okay. Maybe not.
It kind of pisses me off that Miyamoto is a financially successful film producer. He truly does know the market.
I would rather he be doing this than he continue to be in the active gamers room, because since he's left, or as soon as they stopped having him be in the driver's seat, as it were, they started doing more interesting stuff again. Like the fact that, like that fucking non-story that was going around where it was like, the reason why they made Bonanza was because Koizumi told them to do it. And it's like, okay. But there's like a little bit of a story there, just in the fact that like they had to like go and get Miyamoto from somewhere to be like, hey, do you have anything to say about this? And he was like, oh yeah, we'll go, whatever. I'm gonna go back to making movies and theme parks. So that tells me like, oh, okay, he's backing off from that, because he is just so like conservatively minded about game design and story and all kinds of stuff comparatively these days. So, and Koizumi has been better in that role so far. So I would like to, I am happy about that. And that is why I'm interested in Bonanza and all that too, for sure. So yeah, Miyamoto, go ahead and keep being a movie producer. I don't care. I'll go play the cool video games that are being made when you're not sticking your fingers in there and telling them no.
Go make Zelda games with stories these days.
Maybe, maybe we need another person there to get the stories to be good. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. Because yeah, we've moved into the has a story section of the Zelda experience. We need to move into the has a good story experience. Maybe in another 15 years. We'll see.
I mean, our Zelda story is noticeably worse than its peers in the industry.
Some of them, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to take it by a case-by-case basis, but I don't know. The way they treat Zelda in those games ain't good. This is all I'm going to say. And
that's true. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
John, what's next?
What is next? Let's see here. Okay, and then a quick update, too, from last week, because we did talk about the big Microsoft layoff fiasco. Well, we do have one update from one of the apparently affected developers, as it were. We talked about Romero Games last week. Romero Games has released a statement. I'll just read it in full here. We want to address recent reports regarding the status of Romero Games. These reports have contained inaccuracies, and we feel it's important to set the record straight. The funding for our project was pulled, and our game was cancelled. Due to confidentiality agreements, we cannot disclose the publisher's identity, though some may infer it from public information. So that's basically them just being like, yeah, it was Microsoft. As a result, we now have to reassess the entire staffing of our studio. Romero Games is not closed, and we are doing everything in our power to ensure that it does not come to that. Any suggestion otherwise is factually incorrect. Indeed, we were in the studio today to discuss next steps with the team. We've been contacted by several publishers interested in helping us bring the game across the finish line, and we're currently evaluating those opportunities. We appreciate the outpouring of support and will continue to share further updates as we are able. So, it sounds like, yeah, they're not shutting down. They haven't fired anybody yet. It sounds like they're basically being like, we will have to if we don't get more funding. But it sounds like there are already people being like, hey, we'll fund this. So it'll probably be okay. Especially because, like, I was listening to like Jeff Gerstmann talk about it on his podcast, and it made sense where it was just like, yeah, if like someone will definitely swoop in and grab this, because it's basically free money. Like they're saying that they just have to get it across the finish line. Like, sounds like this game is close to being done, so they just have to pay for it to be finished and then like whatever marketing, and then they'll be able to reap all the benefits. So yeah, someone will do this, especially it's a Romero game. Like John and Brenda Romero are still big names with that cachet, like, the game will make at least decent money. So someone is going to hop on this. Like, it's, it'll be, they can't say anything for sure because, of course, there is always a chance that something could fall out from under them. But it sounds like they'll be okay. So we don't have to worry about Romero Games, at least, which is nice. Good news.
What's the last thing they put out?
I don't think they actually have put out a game yet. Under that banner, I know that John Romero has done like new level packs and stuff for whenever they do like a new Doom re-release. But I think this was going to be like their first release as that company. Let me see here if they did do something else before that.
Oh, Empire Sin, right?
That's right. They yes, they did do that. They also did a game called Dangerous Dave in the Deserted Pirates Hideout HD. And they also did something called Gunman Taco Truck, which is an iOS game.
This is such a, like, first two games from a new studio games.
100%, yeah. And then, Sigil and Sigil 2, those were, like, big, like, Doom, episodes. But yeah, this was supposed to be like a big AAA new IP. But so yeah, I mean, if they've been working on this for 3 years now, so I'm guessing that it's. I mean, games take so long to make these days, but I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure this will be something that they can finish and put out and all that. I mean, I don't know. It seems like they might have had to lay off some folks. I can't say for sure exactly because it doesn't say yes or no on that.
It says they're reassessing the staffing of their studio.
Yeah, so it's we'll see because I did see some people I did see some people talking in like replies to a lot of this stuff where they were basically like, jobs in this industry are so fucked up, and like the way that funding comes in and all that, where it's basically just like you'll get laid off 1 week, and then if they get their funding back, they'll just call you back and be like, yeah, you got your job back, just come back. Like, it's just it's a fucking mess, and I feel like that's probably like if they do end up getting more funding and they're able to just continue working on that, that's what I mean. If I was in the like HR or leadership position, that's precisely what I would do. I would have told them first off, just like, just wait a few weeks, like I'd just be like, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a game developer. I'm not a CEO, so I can't tell you exactly how all that shit goes down, but, I hope for the best for everyone involved over there at Romero Games, because John and Brenda Romero seem like really nice people, and I would like to play a first-person shooter by them, because they're good games, usually.
What's next?
Tell me about how you're feeling about Ridge Racer Type 4 still, because you've got more going on there.
Previously, I described myself as the Vegeta of Ridge Racer, but here's the thing I realized. I had my weighted training clothes on, because I did not realize you could enable analog controls in the game. I was trying to drift with the D-pad, and drifting with the G-pad is more difficult than drifting with the analog stick. So previously I was relying on the grip type cars that don't really drift. They just like, you can brake to increase your turning radius. But now I can drift. Now I've mastered the drift, and now I am the master of my Ridge Racer rivalry.
Okay, so you've become far more powerful than before now that you've discovered analog controls.
And it made me think about, like, wow, the DualShock was genuinely had such a big impact on so many PlayStation games. What's some other, like, controller peripherals or upgrades that had that kind of impact?
I mean, I don't know. Like, the DualShock changed friggin' everything, but maybe the GameCube controller, just because it's an actual good controller compared to the N64 controller. putting an L and R button on the Game Boy Advance, that did a lot. I don't know. I can't think of anything that did as much as the DualShock, though. The DualShock fucking did everything.
The Wii Motion Plus.
Well, okay, yeah, the Wii Remote's up there for sure. Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse though, because there are a bunch of really cool Wii games and there's also a bunch of duds. But I think it could be argued that, like, are there any games that were hampered by the introduction of the DualShock? Like, I can't think of anything where it's like, man, I wish this didn't have analog controls. I can't imagine anything like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine it either.
So yeah, I would say that. I mean, that's just how controllers are now. That is just how controllers are now, and they've barely changed the PlayStation controller since they did that. It has been basically the same controller for 5 generations since they landed on that. So, yeah.
Some would even say they've made it worse.
Some may say that, but
the DualSense kind of not great on the hands.
I don't mind it, but I understand. I understand a lot of the complaints.
John, what's next?
Well, all we got left is the big story of the week, which is the Subnautica 2 and Crafton incident with there's lawsuits getting thrown around and all that.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a doozy here. So it's all over the place, and I'm gonna try to show it off as good as possible. So, from what I have gathered here, Subnautica 2 is being developed by the team that made the original Subnautica. They Unknown Worlds. They got bought out by Crafton, who published PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds back in 2021. And Crafton also put together an extra $250 million for something called an earn-out compensation, which would be bonuses if their games reach certain milestones. And that money would have, 90% of it would have been given to the director of Subnautica, the CEO, and the co-founder. So, it would have just been like a big bonus for the like head guys at Unknown Worlds. But those guys did also apparently say that they wanted to distribute that money to their to the workers. So it was not just going to be like, we're just going to take it and sit with it. They actually did say we did want to distribute this $250 million, well, 90% of $250 million to the staff. But Crafton recently fired the studio heads because, quote, the expectation that they would demonstrate leadership and active involvement in the development of Subnautica 2. Regrettably, the former leadership abandoned the responsibilities entrusted to them. I'll just keep reading what Crafton said. Subnautica 2 was planned for an early access launch in early 2024, but the timeline has been significantly delayed. Crafton made multiple requests to Charlie Cleveland, who is the director, and Max McGuire, who is the co-founder, to resume their roles as game director and technical director, but both declined to do so. And then they also put out a game called Moonbreaker, which flopped last year. Crafton asked Charlie Cleveland to devote himself to the development of Subnautica 2, but, quote, instead of participating in game development, he chose to focus on a personal film project. So there's just it feels like a real he said, she said sort of thing, where there's it's a frustrating thing because it does basically, like, if what Crafton is saying is true, it sounds like there was a promise that if this game was released by a certain point that the developers would be getting a shit ton of money as compensation. Like, there's like 100 people that work for Unknown Worlds, so $250 million doled out between them. Like, obviously it would be 90% or whatever, but like, they'd be getting like $24 million each or some shit like that. Like, they'd be getting millions and millions of dollars, each of these people. But since they haven't released the game yet and it got delayed out to 2026, they're not getting that. But it's basically like the people that got fired are basically just saying like, they fired us so that way they didn't have to pay this. But now Krafton is saying, no, we fired them because they were telling us to go fuck ourselves when we were telling them to actually work on the game. It's just, it just seems like a real mess. This is going to be something that seems to be being dragged out for a while. Like, they're saying that the game is ready for early access. Like, Cleveland was saying that the game is ready for early access, but that then they got delayed. So they're saying that Krafton pushed out the release to avoid the payout. But then Krafton's saying, no, it's because the game isn't actually ready for early access. You're just saying that. So it kind of just sounds like it's either Krafton is lying and they are just delaying the game without their permission, so they don't have to pay out this huge payout, or the original like few like leadership roles were a bunch of shitheads and got fired, and because of that they screwed their employees out of a big bonus, and now they're trying to make the publisher look bad instead of themselves because they were just screwing around.
John, I'm going to be honest. It seems like Krafton has a perverse incentive to delay the game so they don't have to pay $250 million.
Which is true. But we will see.
Like, you know, if they're asking me, if they're trying to get me riled up about this to take a side,
sure.
I'm choosing between the suits who have some involvement in game development and the suits who are truly just suits.
Right. But yeah, Jason Schreier is saying that Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire are filing a lawsuit against Krafton. So this will be worked out in court, it seems. It's a big back and forth right now. Let me see. I think there was some other talk about this on the, let's see. Yeah, there was some leak recently. Okay, so there was an internal doc, like a document from Krafton that got leaked that they then later confirmed was legitimate, that backs up their claim. So yeah, this shows the state of development progress and why Krafton and the Subnautica team disagreed on the release schedules. So it just seems like a big ol' mess. I mean, you know, that could obviously just be, you know, something that they cooked up to make themselves look better, or it could just be them being like, yeah, cause you know, like people dug up recently that like, yeah, like Charlie did say he was just going to go work on a movie project. So
it's never a good sign to me when this kind of behind the scenes contract beef is dragged out into public.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's definitely just two sides trying to drag the reactions of the public so that way they look better and can hopefully use that to sway court decisions and all that. It's, yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it per se. Like, I mean, I'm with you in that I am a little bit more prepared to side with the people that were going to potentially dole out a shit ton of money to their workers, other than the company that has an incentive to stop that from happening. But there's also all this supposed proof that no, these guys were just fucking around and not actually working on the game that they were supposed to be working on. So I don't know. I don't feel comfortable stating one way or the other yet, but it's just a fucking mess. And I mean, I feel bad for the developers who are getting dragged around between this. That I can say for sure.
And they don't get that $250 million.
Yeah, there's a good chance they are not going to get that, and that fucking sucks. So
You said there's 100 people at the studio?
Yeah.
So 250 million divided by 1,000, 250,000 each?
Or would it be divided by 100, right? Because
it's
by 100
it's
people? Or?
10% of the 250 million is distributed to everyone other than these three people.
No, 90% of it.
I thought 90% was going to the three people.
No, so the contract says that 90% was being given to the three people, but then the three people said they were just going to distribute it to the workers.
Oh, I don't believe them.
Like that's another cog in the works there, where that was just them saying that they were going to do that. But
I don't believe any movement of money that is not written in ink and paper.
Yeah, which. This payout was, this $250 million was written in ink and paper. They just had to get the game out in a reasonable time frame, and they have not. Even though they've been working on it for like 4 years now, and it's supposedly good enough. It was supposedly good enough to go out into early access last year. So I don't know.
What are the standards for early access these days?
I don't know, because a lot of those games are sloppy.
Wait, how ready do you have to be to go into early access?
I don't know.
Oh, what's next, John?
That's kind of all I have for news and my thoughts on games. Do you have any other games or anything else you would like to discuss, or do you want to just hop over to questions?
Let's hop over the questions.
All right. If you want to send in a question, you can go to your email client of choice and send an email to podcast@gamesline.net. Or you can join our Discord server, and there is a thread in the Discord server to ask us questions. And you'll sound like these fine folks right here. First off, is from Niall in the Discord server, who says, I've been putting a lot of time into a free-to-play game recently, which is something I don't do often, and I'm curious to hear what your personal tipping points are for engaging with monetization in this style of game. Is there a fun threshold? Is it purely based on time spent? For example, I spent 30 hours with this, so they've earned a couple bucks, or just wanting a cool cosmetic? How do you feel? Yeah, Crystal, do you pay any money on free-to-play stuff?
It's been some time since I've played a free-to-play game. Back when I did, the one I most got into was Fire Emblem Heroes. And I would say it was certainly not well-reasoned when I was making purchases. It was mostly just like, I'm on my lunch break and I just want to get through this battle, so I'm going to give you $5 because who cares, because I'm tired. I've never really felt this sense of like, I spent 30 hours, I'll toss them a few bucks, because I don't have that kind of loyalty towards game developers. I'm like, I just want my entertainment and I don't want to pay anything for it.
I get you. I did have feelings about being like, well, I've played this long enough, so I want to just toss them some dough because I like the game. I haven't done that yet, though, because the one game that I was thinking about doing that to was Fate Grand Order, and that shit was too expensive, and I am glad that I ended up not doing that because I fell off of that game eventually. But, you know, like, I'm playing Uma Musume, and then I look at all the money for buying, like roles and all that. And I'm just like, I don't need to do this because I'm getting enough just from playing the game. And I don't, it's fine. I'm experiencing the game fine how I am. So, I'd rather just buy like a figure if I like a character or something like that. It's, yeah, I haven't done that, I guess. But the only times where it makes sense is if there's like a subscription thing or something where it's like, yeah, like here you're paying like $5 a month and you get like a bunch of bonus stuff or that sort of thing. Like I wouldn't spend money on I haven't spent money on like a cosmetic. I haven't done that. Like I would just want it to be gameplay focused if I'm going to spend any money on it. And even then it would have to be something that makes sense to spend money on. And it's, I mean, but also again, like I still think that like that I would 100 times out of 100 rather just buy a video game and not have to spend money on it like that. Like I would just like to do that.
What's something that to you is worth spending money on?
Like full on characters, if you're guaranteed, like it's like I've bought DLC characters for fighting games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is fine because yeah, it's you're spending money on, you're paying for the work that they have done, and that is guaranteed to be added to the thing. Like I don't want to spend money on like a role for a gacha game because you could just blow money on that. Like there's nothing guaranteed. I have bought like DLC for stuff in like SMT games. I've paid for the like extra demons and stuff like that in some of those games, and that's just because I like some of those demons and I want to use them in my playthrough. So it's just like characters and stages and stuff like that. I usually don't really go for like costumes most of the time. Like I'd have to really like the costume, or like in Smash Brothers, I did buy a few of those like Mii Fighter costumes, and it was like I bought two of them because I bought the Team Rocket one and the Travis Touchdown one just because I wanted to dress up as Team Rocket and I wanted to have a Travis Touchdown Mii. And then the other ones that I bought were the ones that had songs attached to it. Like I bought the Shantae one, I bought the Sans one, and I bought the Cuphead one just because it had music. So that's, it's a case by case kind of thing. How about you? What makes you spend some dosh?
I think that the thing that bothers me about microtransactions, it's not necessarily that the value proposition is bad. Sometimes it's totally reasonable. But it's the ambient pressure of thinking about money that sort of bothers me. I don't want to think about money. Thinking about money stresses me the fuck out.
Oh, totally.
So the great thing about paying for a game and then never thinking about money again is you can just enjoy the game. You can forget that you ever spent money on it. That happened in the past. That's not a current Crystal problem. Whereas if I'm playing a game with that's constantly trying to upsell me, I am constantly having to it's not in the front of my mind necessarily, but on the subconscious level, I'm always thinking about that money, and I don't like that feeling.
No, I get you. I totally get you. But yeah, that's basically it. It's like I'm not gonna judge you if you spend money on stuff per se. Like if it makes you happy, if it makes you happy and it doesn't leave you destitute, then it's fine. Like that's okay. And I mean, there's a point where you should probably stop even if you're not going destitute because it's just an unhealthy thing and it's harmful in a different way. But like, yeah, if you're just like, I really like Uma Musume, I'm gonna spend $20 a month to get some extra rolls, whatever. Like there's I just made up that number. Okay. I don't actually know. Okay. I'm not gonna like yell at you. Like it's there's so much shit going on in this world. Like I don't know. I can't. like, I don't know, like, at least you're not smoking. I don't know.
Well, or would you be willing to yell at the developers of the game?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not. I could probably be more pissy on here about that kind of stuff because it's one of those things where I enjoy some of these games and I don't judge folks too much for their enjoyment of it and spending money on it and all that. But I mean, like, if I were to get in a room with with the like people in charge of monetization on a gacha game, I'd be like, you gotta stop this shit, like that would be a completely separate conversation, because I do think it's bad. I do think it is bad on principle, for sure. But again, like I would be, I'm more mad at the tobacco industry than people who smoke. That there's a difference. So there's layers to it. There's layers to it. But it shouldn't exist at the same time. Like I don't think games should be like that. It's not good.
Oh, but it's so good at producing horse girl animations.
They could produce horse girl animations for one price. Like if they were just like, hey, here's this character and you could spend $5 and you get her.
If they could do that, how come they haven't done it?
Because they make more money. Well, theoretically, they make more money just by selling the pulls, but also everyone who has played Uma Musume tells me that like the game is so generous that like nobody spends money on it unless they like very specifically are like a heavy player, like if they are like trying to win PvP stuff, but then they get you by selling figures of all the characters. That's how they get you. That's how Uma Musume gets you.
Yeah, because they're all idols too.
Yeah, but I mean, other stuff like Genshin Impact and stuff. No, they that is just because it is the roles. They want you to spend a bunch of money and try to get the character. And you didn't get it yet. You got to, they're only guaranteed if you've done like 200 rolls, and so that'll be like $80. So there's a chance you get it before that.
I don't think they could make Genshin Impact if they didn't do that, just at the scale and speed of production that Genshin has.
Then they shouldn't.
I agree.
Yeah, then they shouldn't. They should just make a normal video game and release characters at a normal pace and not, yeah.
I guess that's just the thing that always gets me about, like, praising the quality of the gacha, because it's true. It is good. It's a good product, but the fact that the product is good is not really... The product is good because the production is bad, is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Sure. It's... Yeah, I just have a bit more of a layered opinion about it, just because, like, I love the art and this writing and all that stuff, and of course, like, the reason why it's so high quality is because they're pulling in so much money, and they're pulling in so much money because it's tied to the predatory aspect of it. It's... I don't know. I can critique it while still experiencing it a bit and enjoying it and recommending it at a point. But, like, also, if I know somebody's got, like, a gambling problem, I'm going to be like, no, don't do it. It's just, it's like, people talk about the casino having good food or whatever, it'd be one of the, it's basically one of those things where it would be like, if you could just walk into a casino and there were just a few free games that you could just play, and there was like, but they were constantly being like, hey, you can come over here and spend money on this. You can do that. But then, like, you could just ignore it, and then also you could, like, walk over and just eat some food, and then you could just leave. Like, I could do that then. I would just be like, yeah, I'm just ignoring this. I'm just gonna go get some free food and play some free games. But also, like, if somebody has, like, a predilection to spending money on that stuff and blows all their money, like, yeah, that's a problem. And so I'm not gonna... I don't want that for them.
Well, predilection is also not, like, an essential property of a person. It really depends on the circumstances of your life. Like, even if you're not someone who like has a gambling problem, maybe you have a really shitty day and then that day becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you want that spike of serotonin. You know, you want to be like, you know what, I'm going to drop some dough on this and try to pull whoever the fuck and...
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so, yes, my opinion is layered, but on a base level, the foundational level, it's like, I would rather this not exist, for sure. But because it does, and it is part of the industry, and it's free, you know, like, I'm someone who doesn't have a shit ton of money still. It's something that I can interact without worrying about my budget, per se. But, you know, I'll still continue to critique it. Because, yeah, like, I think that these games should just be full release games, and I would enjoy them more.
This is why I play old games.
Old games are good, too. Old games are great.
Yeah.
Old games are very good.
20th century, great century for gaming.
Great century. There's some good stuff out there still, too. The new stuff is still pretty good, sometimes.
What's next, John?
We got one more question. This is from Luna. Dear gamers of Gamesline, I hope that casting your pod is going well. It is, thank you. I started listening to the pod with the arrival of the new batch of writers, and something that has been of note to me is the podcast's AI coverage. Every episode it comes up on the news, and the podcast does a pretty surface-level analysis of the causes for generative AI and its uses, and why they are bad. Has the podcast ever done a deeper analysis into the issue? What do you believe are the structural causes for why AI is being misused? So, that's a fair point. I will say we haven't, like, sat down and been like, here are the exact reasons, just because, like, I feel like a lot of the people who listen kind of already know. You know, like, I don't want to be the sort of, like, preaching to the choir kind of person. We're covering this stuff because it is in the news, and I know that it is pretty repetitive, but it's because it's in fucking everything, you know? Like, so much of just technology is this shit now. So it's hard to interact with this industry without running into that. But I suppose, to be fair, we can go over...
Yeah.
You know, we can have, like, a baseline, I suppose.
Why do they use generative AI? To drive down labor costs is the main reason. The quality at this point is nowhere near where the human can do, and I don't really believe it ever will be. But just the fact that it can sometimes do an almost mediocre job is enough to... It's a reason to point at to pay people less, and workers in this industry already have very few labor protections, as the layoffs have proven.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the gist of it, for sure. It's undermining creativity and undermining the work that people have put into all of these different industries, including the games industry, by reducing their work to something that is passable at best if you glance at it. And it's just trying to force people out of their jobs so the fat cats can just roll in the dough without worrying about paying anybody for it.
Also, the investors love to hear AI. They love to hear about it, which means if you keep pushing it, you might drive that stock price up, and stock price is how you make the real money these days.
Prices, yeah, it's because it's the new cool thing. So you say that it's got AI in it, and then people are happy about it, and then they buy the stock, and then the stock price goes up. Yada yada. And then there is just the plagiarism aspect to it, because it is pulling from works that have been posted elsewhere. And then it's not filtered very well, so there's been all kinds of claims of, again, like, people's things being stolen and then potentially harmful things being used as like the basis for AI elements. Like, there's all kinds of claims where it's just like, yeah, like they're just grabbing shit from literally everywhere, so they could just have like a snuff film or something in like this AI. Like, you don't even know. Like part of an image that you generate could just be from someone getting killed. It's just like you can't filter that much content. There's the environmental aspect to it, because it is a, like people are going to claim, like the computers and things that we did before that were using a bunch of energy, and it's just this new concept, this like the AI stuff is so shitty. It's like, we don't need this. Like, all this other stuff is at least somewhat useful. And now they're just throwing in this new bullshit thing that isn't useful to 99% of people, and the 1% of people that it's useful to are people that are just trying to screw over those 99% of people. And it's using as much energy as the stuff that's actually useful. So there's that. And I mean, that's the gist, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. Is there more that you would want to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the energy use, it's like, everyone should be eating less meat because meat production is completely unsustainable. But at least at the end of it, you get a juicy burger. At the end of all this energy use, you get a really shitty image of a cat.
Yeah.
I had John, I had a traumatic experience the other day.
Sure.
Where
what happened?
The image searches are now so infested with AI that I cannot even Google an image of a cat without seeing a bunch of AI stuff. And here's the thing about me. Prior to any intellectualization of why Gen AI is bad, Gen AI images induce this gut level, bone level disgust and fear response in me. Yes, they they look wrong. I imagine this is similar to what people feel from like arachnophobia or tryptophobia. Mm-hmm. It's just like instant adrenaline rush. I need to close this fucking tab right now because I hate looking at this.
Yeah. Because like, if I'm going to be completely upfront, I did mess around with some of that stuff for a while because I didn't know about the ramifications, like when that stuff first became public, I was sitting at work with people being like, oh, we can make it spit out an image of, like Shrek stepping on a landmine or whatever. And it was funny because it sucked, that was part of it, is that it sucked. And then all these people are being like, well, now we're going to use it in real art. We're going to replace artists with this. And it's like, people were using this because it sucked ass. Like, this isn't real. This is a joke thing that people are just goofing around with. And that should have, I mean, now that we know what it was pulling from and the environmental aspect, like, obviously, like, now, but, like, my initial reaction was just, like, why are they saying that this is going to replace artists? Like, this sucks. Like, what? Like, I'll goof around with it. Like, sure, I'll make an image of, like, Luigi doing something, and it barely looks like him, and it sucks, and it's funny. But now, yeah, of course, not now.
The question, the final sentence was, what do you believe are the structural causes for why AI is being misused? I don't know if there is a use that isn't a misuse at this point in time. They've had a few years now, and they haven't proven any good use for it.
Like there's some good uses in like the medical field and stuff where it's basically just going through millions and millions of pieces of data to like try to sort through to find like the very specific like aspects of people's DNA that lead to different diseases and stuff like that.
Is it actually good at that?
From what I have read in a few articles, yes. Like, it is actually useful for that. And of course, there still needs to be a human element to it, because you have to go over and be like, yes, this is correct. But again, like, that just that doesn't shove the humans out of the way. It's just like it is a computer testing things, and then a person looks at it and says, okay, that lines up, or okay, that's not true, we gotta run the test again, or whatever. Like, it's a testing apparatus. It is not something that should be making things that the general public will then interact with.
What is the difference in labor between double checking and AI's work and doing it yourself?
I mean, it's a massive difference, just because the AI is just able to churn out something far faster than a person.
But like, when you're double checking it, what are you doing exactly?
Well, okay, so if you're in the context of the medical field here, it would basically just it's basically just reading something very quickly. It is going through, like, you insert like however much data about a person's DNA into the platform, and then it reads through it, and then it'll be like, okay, right here is a problem. And then you would just look at it and then compare it to other data points that you've acquired over the years. And then it would be like, okay, that is actually a problem, because this is different from what we've seen in other places. So it's basically just narrowing things down. Like, that is what it is. It is just making narrowing problems down a bit easier. So you're not just sitting there and being like, okay, this is like the DNA strands or whatever, and then this one says this over in this very specific. It's just a narrowing down aspect. Like, that is literally it. It's just to narrow things down a little faster, which, like, of course a human being can do that, but it'll make things way faster and way easier for actual change to happen, so that way people aren't just sitting there having to go through all this data and then be like, okay, well, this cure can take 2 years instead of 15.
But going through the data is the work. Like, is this an LLM or is it some other data analysis algorithm? I
guess it's just a different algorithm, I suppose. Like, yeah, it's just, okay. It's not specifically like generative AI. Like, yeah, it's not generative AI. It's not a learning module. It's using very similar tech. And that is also another problem too, is that there are a lot of pieces of technology that are similar in concept to generative AI, but are getting wrapped up with that because, again, like you said with the investors, it's worth more money when people call it that, when it's actually not that. So,
yeah. It's a little hard to tell what exactly the technology is underneath. I will say, if my doctor is using an LLM to summarize some kind of medical report, I don't trust that at all. I would like my doctor to read it, please.
Yeah, like it's not that specifically. It's more just like it's more like testing and that sort of, like, more initial things, because yeah, like they're obviously going to do more stringent testing after that. It's just trying to create a baseline, I would say. But it's just to sort through massive amounts of data.
I'm gonna come in here for a second,
jump scare,
and say, my aunt is a nurse and stuff like that, and one of the main thing they use it for is just like, hey, when you're getting ready to prescribe someone some medicine, when they're in the ER or something where you need to make really, really quick decisions a lot of times. The models they use can immediately point out incompatibilities. Like, if they know somebody is on this, and then they say, okay, we think we should give them this, the computer will immediately spit out, like, no, you can't do that. Here are the other options. It doesn't tell them what to use specifically. It just says the things that they can't use that are unsafe, so they can make the proper medical, like, this is the medicine we need to use. And it's not even AI. They just describe it as AI, even though that's not really what it is. It's just a massive database that immediately knows if one thing's in conflict with another.
Yeah, pulling things from a database sounds fine. That does not sound like an LLM.
Yeah,
if my nurse pulled up ChatGPT, I would be scared.
But they always sell it as AI when that's not what it is. It's sort of like hey, we use AI to do the lip flap on Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not AI. That's it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
because they're just selling it. It's what you said. They're selling it to investors, even though that's not what it is, because they have to use the buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to silence.
Yeah, Lorelai is one of our folks who's sick. So get well soon, Lorelai. But thank you for jumping in and speaking a little bit clearer on that kind of stuff. No, yeah, I mean, I hope I'm not like misrepresenting things, because I don't want to. I agree that like, yeah, we don't need that stuff for all. It's a mess. But yeah, I fully believe that it's a bubble that's going to pop. Like people already hate it on the whole. And once it hits the point where the companies start actually asking for money to use it, because it's all just a money sink so far, nobody's going to want to. So, I don't think this will be forever. Maybe something else will pop up that is similar to it that's going to suck just as bad, but I just like at a certain point, like they're going to want money. And nobody's going to want to give it to them.
You mentioned the MetaZoo NFTs earlier, and I was like, wow, NFTs, remember those? Those feel like they were a million years ago. They were like in 2022.
Mm-hmm. And they were trying to make it seem like everyone needed to get involved with that. This is the best way to make money. You gotta buy a monkey so you can make money off of it and sell it and become a millionaire. And then it's like, nope. So, I think, I think that it will, I think there will still be like bits and pieces about it through, like, it's not going to go away completely like NFTs did, but on the whole, I think, like all these companies being like, we're going to make big AI movies and they're going to replace the movies that you're watching now. Like that's going to go away. Like there's going to be some pushback here and there where it's going to be like, yeah, we found out that, like what happened with Expedition 33, where it was like, hey, they accidentally left some like stand-in, like texture that was AI generated, and then they just patched it out because they weren't going to use it in the game. They were just using it as a stand-in, which again, I don't think they should have done that, but it's like, that's the kind of stuff that's going to continue to exist, not, hey, we fired everybody and we're just going to have the computer make it.
What happened to programmer art, man? What happened to taking a Getty Images watermarked image of rocks to use as a temporary texture?
Well, the problem is that all those images are getting replaced with AI now, too.
Oh my god, they're killing Getty Images?
Kinda, yeah.
No.
So that's the problem, is that, like, that stuff, it's like, at that point, you, quote-unquote, might as well just make your own, because then you have a little bit of control over it, but, like, obviously you don't actually.
Everyone has a phone with a pretty good camera on it. You just take a picture of a rock.
Yeah. I don't know. It's frustrating, but yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that there are people out there who are just straight up being like, this is made with zero AI integration, and it's a point of pride, and it's something that people go, yeah, I want to support that now. So that is at least a good thing, theoretically. Hopefully it continues to be that way.
Another structural cause of why AI is being misused. Mm-hmm. You know what? I keep thinking about the humble college students who don't want to write their essay.
Yeah, I mean, that's very separate from what we discuss on the podcast for sure. But yeah, there is just a general problem with how society is interacting right now with AI, where it's, there's people that are just not doing work anymore because they're just throwing stuff into AI and just shoving that out. With college students not writing their essays, just having ChatGPT write it for them. And then there's all those stories recently, which is like the most dire aspect. Well, one of the most dire aspects are all these people with, like that are talking to ChatGPT every day, and then because of how it has to keep agreeing with you and it has to keep making you feel good, it keeps getting worse and worse, and like they keep having to kiss your ass more and more and more. That eventually they just start trying to make you a god. Like they just start going, oh, you know what? I think that you actually have messianic powers and you can lead us to a new era of understanding because you are so perfect and I love you so much, because the AI needs to always tell you how cool you are. So it just falls off a cliff and starts telling you that you're the second coming, and people start to believe it, and it's not good.
I think people like they like poking at a thing and getting some kind of feedback from it, right?
Yeah.
It's just that the thing is so bad and lies so much, and I keep turning off all the AI features on DuckDuckGo, and they keep automatically turning it back on. And I find myself, when I see the AI summary at the top, getting sucked into it before turning my brain on and being like, wait, I can't trust anything this fucking says. Why am I even reading this?
Mm-hmm. It just made the quality of so many things that worked perfectly fine before way worse for no reason.
When you talk about the medical data analysts using AI, I'm like, I want their judgment. I want to pay them 6 figures so they can do the reading. That's what I want. And like, the more you do it, the better you get at doing it, the more efficient you get at doing it. And if you're relying more on an algorithm to do it, you're not getting any better at doing it.
See, to an extent, like, I understand where you're coming from, but it's just like the mass amount of information that you can't just like skim over. Like, when a computer is just like, okay, we have loaded in what we are looking for. Scan this and tell me if that's there. In this 3 trillion page thing, like, I think that's different than, and then it just pings it and says, I found this.
You're talking about Control F?
Basically.
Okay, why do we need an AI for that?
I mean, it's just that, but tuned better.
Tuned better how?
Look, I don't fully know. I've just read articles. I've read articles. I haven't used it, so I'm sorry. I don't have all the answers. But again, this isn't generative. It's just an algorithm that picks stuff up.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it is, because like for my use, when I was doing the transcript for the Shinra interview, sure. I was opening up subtitle edit. I was like, okay, let me check the status of these latest Whisper models. Let's see how they do it. John, they can't do it. They can't do it good enough. Me editing those models would have taken more time than just writing it out. So like, sure. If they can't do that kind of just reading what's there and not generating, I definitely don't trust it for like the high stakes of DNA analysis.
Sure, but it's just like you're feeding very specific data into it that it is attuned to work on, and I don't know. I get your hesitation, but it's just like, we're talking about something that is basically just doing Control F on a massive, massive scale, and I don't see the problem with that per se.
Oh, I guess for me to see the problem, I need to understand like what it's even doing in the first place. And if I don't understand what it's doing, then fundamentally I will retreat towards hesitation.
Sure. I mean, like what Lorelai said, where it's just like flagging things that could potentially be an issue. Like,
yeah, I know about that software. I mean, I used to work at a pharmacy, and pharmacists have been doing that a long time, where the computer just has a database of medicines that interact with each other. And if a prescription comes in, it'll flag like, hey, this thing has an interaction with this thing, so tell the patient about it. If it's being rebranded as AI, that suggests to me that there could be some kind of new code driving it, and I am deeply suspicious of that code.
That's fair. That does make sense. Which, again, just frustrates me that they are doing that, because they don't need to be doing that. They could just be saying, this is what this is, and we're using it for this reason, instead of trying to get in, I think we're just kind of the problem at the end of the day is that medicine should not be something that needs to get sold to investors. Like it's like these things should not be something that we have to like prove to be like, oh, this is worth it, you should put your money into this. It should just be happening, so that's one of the big problems. Like it's just we're kind of just circling the drain into just being like, the problem is that we have to pay for things that should be free.
Yeah, medical technology companies are pretty evil.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just what we're kind of going around and almost saying. But yeah, we could just say that. Like, it's just the way that we interact with society, the fact that it is driven by profit is the problem. But
anything else to say about this subject?
I don't know. I mean, is there more that we gotta kind of take apart here? I mean, Luna, I hope that was a good conversation that you wanted to hear from us. Feel free to email us in and be like, you guys fucked it and you're dumb and no. I don't know. It's a heady topic, and I do see where you're coming from with a lot of that stuff, Crystal. And I don't want to like make it sound like I'm making excuses for these companies, because no, like you're right that it should, like, these things should just be like, so many of these issues are solved issues, and we shouldn't be throwing more gunk into the system, because that just makes it easier for it to lock up. But I also, like, if something legitimately makes work easier for a person, and that person is able to do good things with that time, I'm not going to say no to that. But for the most part, generative AI isn't doing that. It is just making things harder for people, and it is taking good things away from people, and that is why I am against it.
Fuck AI.
Fuck it. And but we will also, I mean, I would love to not talk about this as much. It's just, it's in the news every fucking week, so we gotta. And I mean, the funny thing is it wasn't in the news this week, but we got an email about it, so I don't know what to tell you. That's just what this industry is.
What else we got, John?
That is all I have. Is there anything that you have that you want to discuss, or are we done for the week?
I have a question from Ina.
Sure. Go ahead.
If you had to eat one thing of your choice from anywhere in history or fiction, but it has to share a name with you, what would you choose? For John, this would be any John, real or fake, and for Crystal, this would be any Crystal. Thank you.
So I have to eat a person, and you can just eat a rock?
I mean, is there something named John that is not a person?
The toilet?
Maybe a cow? Like you name a cow John?
Well, then
is a cow named John?
Well, then you could just, like, I could just name, like, some chips John. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Then, cause yeah, like, yeah, like, I appreciate the creative thinking here that you have here, but I still just feel, yeah, like, I appreciate that I'm being given an out. Yes, like in the chat right now, they're saying, yes, Crystal is giving me an out, and I appreciate it. But at the same time, like, I don't want to go against the spirit of this question.
Okay.
If they were coming at this like, John, you need to go eat a person, and Crystal, you gotta eat a rock. Like, do we have to, like, if that is the question that we are having, if I have to choose a famous John in history to eat, then I guess that's what you're asking me.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to
famous
think about it.
Johns.
Eating John Malkovich, that's a good one. I don't want. I mean, I wouldn't want to, because he's a good actor. He's as fucked up. That as problematic as that movie is, I love him in Con Air. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it could be like, I don't know. There was like that internet story where like someone got like, I don't remember what part of their body was amputated because they were in like a motorcycle accident. So they just told their friends like, hey, they're just gonna throw this out if I could just get this like framed or whatever. I want to eat this. Do you guys want to eat my hand or whatever? And like they cooked it and ate it, and they were just like, it wasn't that good. So I mean, I guess if there's like, I don't know, I'm not jumping at the bit to eat someone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but also like if I lost my hand or something, I might try it, just because there's no other way that I would be able to say that I did. So, John, me, I guess. Yeah, I'll say myself. I would eat myself if I was given the chance to do it in a morally correct way. John
which
yeah. Six Semper Supper Tyrannus.
Which crystal would I eat?
Yeah.
It's hard to beat salt. Sugar, that's great too.
You just had an answer. You just had one. You're on easy mode no matter what.
Oh, life is so easy for the crystal bird.
All right. Does anyone in the chat have a question? That before we move on. Yeah, actually, Poifa in the chat. Yeah, you have to eat the crystal coconut from Donkey Kong. Yeah, there you go.
Sure, I like coconut.
I'm not the world's biggest Donkey Kong fan. I'm casual at best. Okay, give me some slack. I've played like 2 Donkey Kong games. Okay, I will say I do love Donkey Kong 94 a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my favorite Game Boy games. So okay, if that makes me a Donkey Kong fan, then okay.
You're at least a Donkey Kong journeyman.
Sure, I will take that. I have opinions on the Kong War. I think everyone should have opinions on the Kong War, because it's crazy that they canonically said we need to write lore about there being armed conflict in Donkey Kong.
Armed conflict, even.
Apparently.
Okay, they got peanut guns?
Yeah, and I have it on good faith that if you are shot with one, it is going to hurt. So,
yeah, I bet.
Non-fans don't know about the Kong War. Maybe they should know about it. That's what this podcast is about. It's about informing people about what's important. Whether it's the legitimate industry issues or that there's lore about there being war in the Donkey Kong world. which is important to them, I suppose. It's important to the Kongs.
Mario also went to war.
Did he now?
Is he on the cover of some Bombs Away, I think?
I don't think so.
Bombs Away NES. Okay.
Oh, was that him? Oh, there's a Game & Watch game. Mario's Bombs Away. I guess you're right. Yeah. So there you go. Mario has murdered. Mario has taken a life. Or multiple lives.
To support you, John, I would not consider myself a Mario fan, but I do have a Mario fan theory if you would like to hear it.
Please.
I think that the Mario of Bombs Away and the Mario of Donkey Kong is actually Dr. Mario, the father of Mario, and Luigi Mario. And the Super Mario Brothers are sort of the second generation of Mario. He used the GI Bill from the war to go to medical school.
That makes sense to me. That does make sense to me. So Dr. Mario is Super Mario's dad.
Exactly.
I'm not going to fully sign off on that, but I will say that is that is an interesting interpretation, and I could see it. I could see that. And he's slower in Smash Brothers because he's older.
Exactly. He's a distinct Smash character.
That's right.
And his first name is Jumpman Mario.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm leaning towards this. I'm definitely leaning towards this. I mean, like, the only thing that's keeping me reserved is that there isn't full-on confirmation, but they would never confirm this. This is not something that Nintendo would want to advertise. So it's something that I'm going to accept as a personal headcanon. For sure. I believe this. I believe this to be the case until proven otherwise.
On Judgment Day, all truths will be revealed, and we will know the true Mario lore.
That's true. We will know this. Well, thank you, Crystal, for being here. One last chance if anyone has any questions before we wrap up. But we should be all set. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and thank you so much for supporting the website. You can check out our website. It's gamesline.net. We've got stuff cooking. We're going to probably have some new articles up soonish. I know Lily keeps telling me that she's been working on stuff. Like that's one of the reasons why she wasn't on tonight, was because she was just like, I need to write. So shout out to her. Good luck with your writing, of course. If you want to follow us on social media, we have our Blue Sky, which is just gamesline.net. You can go onto Blue Sky and type that in and follow us. We are just probably not going to use the Twitter anymore. For the foreseeable future, we're not going to. If some things change with its ownership, perhaps. But for now, no. No. So just follow us on Blue Sky. Go get a Blue Sky account. I know Blue Sky has its issues, but it doesn't have a bot calling itself Mecha Hitler on it. So there's levels to this.
Blue Sky's got the 2010s Twitter issues. It doesn't have the 2020s Twitter issues.
Exactly. Tumblr, gamesline.tumblr.com. We also kind of talked about maybe also not using Facebook anymore either. So, it's still there, but we're probably not going to use it anymore either. YouTube.com/@the You have to make sure you put the... Is there a name for that? The @ Is there a name?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna
always
Google
call
this.
it the @
name. Okay, there's no... Okay, I typed that in and it just said, okay, @ name. Let's see. Okay, I need to... It is just the @. Fair enough. Okay. It is just the @ So we're right. But yes, you need to put the @ in there, or else it doesn't work. And then we have our Twitch, which some of you are watching on right now. It's twitch.tv/GameslineTV, where we stream live every week, every Sunday at around 5 p.m. CST. If you want to support us, patreon.com/Gamesline is the place to do it. If you give us $3 a month, you get access to our anime podcast, Unlimited Railworks, a whole week early. You can, I'm pretty sure you can still subscribe for just $1 or whatever. Like, I think if not, I should maybe add that just for people who just want to do that. But you can do that. We have our Discord, which is thegamezone.zone. Type that into your web browser. It'll bring you straight there. Here, I'll put that in the chat too. Just go ahead, click on that link or type that into a web browser, and you can hang out with us on the Discord server. You know, we'll try to come up with some stuff to do soon. I think it's about time that we can think of some fun stuff to get up to in there. And thank you to Melt.Channel/Magic Circuit for our theme song Crush off of the album Magic is Real. If you want to listen to their stuff, it's meltchannel.bandcamp.com or magic-circuit.bandcamp.com. And you can buy their music at any time, but I would recommend you do it on the first Friday of every month because that's Bandcamp Friday and they get the full cut. Crystal, where can people find you?
You can find me at Arcane Crystal and Blue Sky. You can find other podcasts on audioentropy.com, such as Eidolon Playtest, 3 Grown-Ups, and The Book of Medora, and MCU Complete Me.
You can find me on my Blue Sky account, which is john.gamesline.net. And that'll do it. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you again to Lorelai for helping us out, even though she's not feeling well. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you all for listening. We will be back next week with another episode of the Gamesline podcast. Thank you.